All right there, YouTube. It has been a hot minute since we have posted anything. But what do we got behind us? None other than a PC build. Let's go over each part and tell you why we went with it. So stay tuned.
Release the KraKen!
All right, so we're going to start with why we went with this motherboard here. It's actually really simple. It looks nice. They have really good heat spreader, everything else like that, so you don't have to worry about running into issues with anything on the motherboard overheating or anything. While we do what we do, we have everything that we need. In fact, we even have more than enough M.2 slots. Again, this is mainly just so we have a platform to run it on, and this one is for AMD. It is a ROG Strix B650A gaming Wi-Fi. So we also get Bluetooth. It's a fantastic option. To see a little bit more up close, through the box, it will have a little bit of RGB, but the person we're building this for doesn't care for the RGB. So realistically, this is just going to be just a starting part for our build. To go along with this is going to be the CPU of the build. So this is the 7800X3D. Now the reason why we're going with this is it's probably the best gaming chip on the planet for its price, at least. Even in Canada, it's like 500 bucks. Can't go wrong with it. The motherboard itself, I want to say, was about 250, give or take a little bit, something around there. But this thing is a complete monster. It is an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, and it uses the 3D V cache that AMD kind of has cornered. No one else is really doing it. And it just gives a lot of L3 cache for gaming, and that's where it makes up for it. It's also very energy efficient in comparison to some other, say, competitors, if you will. So that is definitely something that we'll actually show you next. All right, so this here is what's going to be cooling that CPU. Now, like I previously mentioned, the CPU itself is not super energy hungry, so it doesn't really get as hot. Now, you can actually just air cool the 7800X3D. However, we went with a liquid cooler, just a 2-slot one. So it's a 240 AIO. The reason we went with it is because it's going to be quieter than an air cooler. Plus, it's going to keep it cooled a little bit better, probably a few degrees better, but it will not probably get to a point where you get heat soak. So that's going to be definitely good for long gaming sessions. And I like the look of this one here. It's also a really good price. I want to say I got it for like 180 Canadian, which is pretty good. Usually when I look these up, they're closer to about 250. So we take deals when we get them. Now for RAM, we went with this guy here. So it's going to be Kingston Fury Renegade series, 6,000 mega transfers, 32 gigabyte, sorry. And it's a CL32. Now, yes, we could have went for CL30 at 6,000, which is kind of a sweet spot for price. But the reason we went with this is you don't need really crazy latency when you have the X3D chips. They don't use as much as this because they have a little bit more of the L3 cache, which is going to help for gaming. So you do need RAM regardless, and 32 is kind of a sweet spot, 32 gigabytes. You don't really need more, even if you're content creating. Unless you're using Blender and stuff like that, you really do not need more than 32 gigs. So just keep that in mind. All right, next we have our storage. So this here is a 2 terabyte 990 EVO Samsung NVMe SSD. 2 terabytes is probably going to be more than he needs. It's the first PC. But I didn't want him to run into issues. Plus, this was cheaper than the 1 terabyte. So, GG. you pick up the deals when you can get them. This is going to be super fast, as you can see. 5,000. You can't see it because my webcam is absolute trash levels. Let's try if we do that. That's fine. It just has up to 5,000 megabytes read speed, which is great. Writing speed is like 4,000 something like that. So definitely more than fast enough. You don't need to go with the pros. The Evo's good enough. but if you want to, you can spring for that. This was less than 200 Canadian. Now this next one I'm going to show is going to be a little overkill. So it's a 1,000 watt power supply from Corsair. It's the RM series or RMX series. Now the reason we went with the 1,000 is the 850 was actually about $80 more for some weird reason. This is still an A tier power supply. There actually are lists you can look at. Do that when trying to buy it. So there's a few things you want to look for when you're doing this. Biggest thing here on a power supply, you also want to make sure that it is at least 80. This here 80 plus gold. No, actually I could have shown it on the front. The reason why you want to do that is it's going to be more efficient. There is platinum and titanium, but as soon as you start going higher than gold, the price seems to jump quite a bit. So this is the route you want to go with. Trust me. You don't really need any more. Now, the reason why it's okay to overspec is this doesn't mean it's drawing 1,000 watts all time from the wall. It means it can do up to 1,000 watts, okay, of output. So it will draw a little bit more. So that's where the higher rating makes sense. If you go with an 80% titanium, you're having such little amount of waste. A 1,000 watt might only pull, say, 1,100, right? So gold here, this one's probably going to do about 1,150, 1,200 watts pulling, but only when it needs to. With the CPU and the GPU that's on order, so it's not going to be in this video. You know what? I'll throw it in at the end. We'll edit it in. I'll at least talk about it. So yeah, this is going to be way more than we need, but it's better to have more than not enough. Trust me. All right, next up, just a couple of fans. So we went with 6 fans here. The reason we did that is we want to have enough cooling. Deep cool, these were actually a really good price. They have pretty good performance on it as well for its cost here. The airflow is pretty close to 70 CFM, which is, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter too much. One of them is going to be attached to the radiator, or at least 2 of them will be. And then one of them will be in the case. The other ones will be in the case as well, which we'll show in a moment. But to go along with these fans here, sometimes you don't have enough headers and daisy chaining isn't really possible. So you go with a fan hub. So this I just got off of Amazon. I don't know, what was it, like 10 bucks Canadian? I've used not this brand in the past. For my build, I did a different one. This one looks a little nicer than the one I got for myself. It can plug up to 10 fans into it, and then you plug it into your motherboard itself. You have all the controls right through it because it's power. It's power PWM, so it's the 4-pin for it. This is going to be fantastic for controlling. What you could do even is plug, say, all the ones from the case into this, and then the ones that will be attached to the radiator, or the AIO, I should say, you could plug directly into the motherboard that way. So you have 2 separate controls. So you could do that way, but honestly, you'll probably just ramp everything out through this. Good enough. Now the case that he went with is going to be this guy here. So it's the 4000D airflow. So you'll see on the front of it, man, I wish I had a different setup for this. There's actually a ton of air. In fact, the front can come off. I just don't want to do it from my position here. So the front can come off and it has a dust filter right on the front. On the top, which is where you can mount more fans, it actually has a magnetic dust filter. It's just taped down now so it doesn't fall out. Your standard, pretty much everything from the back. There's nothing crazy about it back here. And then, of course, you do have a dust filter here at the bottom for your power supply. So all in all, just a nice little case to work with. Figured he doesn't want to go super crazy big, and we're not going for a flashy build. So this will get the job done. And there she is. A 4080 Super. Now, we didn't have to go this high end of a card, but it kind of made a little bit more sense. What we were trying to go for was to get something that'll do 1440p, 120 hertz pegged at ultra graphics forever, or at least hopefully for 10 years. This can do up to 4K because it's 16 gig VRAM. It doesn't actually say it there. That's kind of funny. There we go. On this side here, it's the triple fan. I did that just for better cooling, and it gets a little quieter. The more fans you have, so the better cooling. Typically, the quieter it can run. Super important. No one likes to hear the GPU screaming at you while you're gaming. I'd rather hear the opponent screaming at me when they're getting killed. I'm going to show you this one. 2 reasons. It was super cheap. Reason 1. We're going to do a little bit of RGB. It looks nice. So the way it works is this goes to the back of the computer, right underneath the graphics card. So let's just pretend for a moment that this here is a graphics card and it sits inside like so. I guess if we tried to line it up, look a little more accurate like this. And then right here, you can extend so you're not going to hit the fan blades, and you can even raise this up so it can support the GPU. So what happens over time is these graphics cards are massive. I'm going to show you the box in a second. This is just going to ensure that you're not going to run into an issue where it's going to start sagging down like this and possibly wreck the motherboard. So, to show the size of this graphics card, because it's not the smallest card you've ever seen. Well, actually, it comes with its... I hate the 16 volt pin thing, but everything's there. This is your card. No. Let's open it up and show you. So this, to give you an example, is the size of the card. It's huge. So on this one, you get 3 display ports, 1.4 version, of course. And then you get HDMI 2.1, which is what's needed for high resolution, high FPS gaming. I actually think this looks pretty clean. So there's not going to be RGB on this. It's just a very nice, simple card. Nothing too crazy. Plus, when it's inside the case, if we were looking at it this way, this is all you're going to see. So you're going to see the back plate, which is a nice little gray. Kind of goes well with a black and white build. Gray is going to be right in between, so it's just going to look nice. And then the way the sag bracket works, to show you a little bit better, this goes in your case like so. This will go underneath it in a slot, and then that little arm you see right here, that's just going to push up, and you're going to slide it along so it doesn't hit the fans, and you have a flat enough surface, and you just raise it up, and it's just going to hold it so it doesn't do this. It's just that simple. Now, just so you know where that 16 pin adapter goes, so you need 3 8X pins, your power supply, but it just goes right in here. Helps if I really point at it. There you go. That's it. Super easy to plug in. But now the moment that you're waiting for. You really wanted to see what the PC looked like with very little RGB? Well, here we go. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs up it anyways, because you're an awesome person for watching this video, especially if you made it this far. If you need help with building a computer or anything, I actually can help with that. I do have a service where I can either build you a computer personally, so I'll be upfront with it. It's about $100. You get all the parts, you bring it to me, or you have them shipped to me, however you want. And then I build it, and then I give it to you. If there's any shipping, you pay. Option 2, it's $150. I walk you through building it in person. This way you can have a cool experience, and I also do the part picker. You give me your budget, we kind of go from there. Option 3, it's $200. You buy everything. I can still do the part picker list. You order it, everything, and through a Discord call or any other format of video chat, I walk you through building it that way. The reason it's a little more is it's going to take a little bit of time, and I'll help you with routing cables and everything like that. So that's going to be super fun anyways. But if you like this video, please, again, thumbs up. I would appreciate it. I do live stream quite a bit right now over on Twitch. So it's KraKen Games, just over on twitch.tv. Please check me out. We are a variety streamer, but right now the flavor of the month that we're doing is Dauntless and Rocket League. It's always been Rocket League, but Dauntless is one that's been thrown in. We're going to be playing a lot more other games as well, so stay tuned for it. Peace out.